This is Modern Service Mastery Business School with boots on. Real lessons, real talk, and real growth for the residential service industry. Let's get to work.
All right, so here we are, kicking things off with something completely new, a BoPo. And if you're sitting there thinking, what the heck's a BoPo? Well, you're in for something special.
Okay, wait, let me guess. BoPo stands for Boring Podcast?
Ha! Not even close. It stands for Book Podcast, and it's like no training you've ever experienced before. Here's the deal. It's part audiobook, part podcast, and 100% geared toward folks in the trades who want smarter, faster ways to learn. None of that classroom boredom, Jake.
How about BroPo?
No BoPo.
Okay, got it. Just messing with you. So, basically you're saying we're ditching the stale PowerPoints and 3-ring binders for something that actually works for people like us. Boots on the ground kind of folks. I like it.
Exactly. You know, I've been around for more than 3 decades in this industry, and I've seen how most training is designed. It's rigid, it's slow, and honestly, it's impossible for someone juggling job site needs, customer calls, and figuring out how to pay their crew on time. Who has the energy to sit through hours of a stale seminar?
Right? Like, I'm picturing a windowless hotel ballroom, some guy in a tie showing us spreadsheets, and half the room is low-key checking their phones. No thanks.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And let me tell you this story. Years ago, I signed up for one of those highly recommended management trainings. It was supposed to teach us how to effectively lead our teams. So I showed up, pen in hand, coffee in the other, ready to learn. By the second hour, half the attendees had glazed over eyes. The other half, heads down, dozing off. I mean, really? And that was a whole week.
Snore City, man. And meanwhile, your phone is blowing up on silent.
Exactly. My crew was out there scrambling, calls went unanswered, and no one had a clue what I was sitting there nodding off to. That right there was my light bulb moment. I thought, there has to be a better way. And that's where this idea, this BoPo, was born.
Okay, so here's what I'm getting. This is for the person who doesn't have time to waste. The one who's got to stay sharp while on the go, because his or her team, clients, the whole business depends on it.
Exactly, Jake. This is learning for people like you, field leaders, crew managers, sales reps who don't want fluffy theories or some 300-page manual they'll never read. It's real stories, real lessons, with real applications you can use today. And because it's in this audio format, you can listen while you're driving to your next job site or loading up gear.
All right, I see it now. It's like Netflix for guys like us. But instead of binging some fantasy show, you're getting tips on how to lead better or how to fix a jacked up schedule. Makes sense.
Spot on, Jake. And the best part, this format really lets us focus on insights that stick. We can layer in examples, role-playing scenarios, even some laughs. It's training, but training you actually want to do. No fluff.
No fluff, no stress. All right, so is this where we cue the sound effects and ride off into productivity land?
Not yet. Let's wrap it up like this. BroPo combines the best of storytelling and the best of practical training, and I think it's going to change how leaders in this industry see growth, both personal and professional.
And for the record, it's not boring or a tie-wearing seminar. And you said BroPo, got it.
I did. You got me, Jake, and you get the concept. All right, Jake, so now that we've nailed down what we're doing here and why it's a game changer, let's talk about how it really shines. It's all about the 4 pillars of service mastery, a framework that keeps everything running smoothly in the real world.
4 pillars sounds like a lot of heavy lifting. What are we building here, a mansion?
Well, in a way, yeah. It's the foundation for a thriving business. Here's the breakdown: general management, sales, operations, and resource management. Each one's like a corner of the foundation, holding the whole thing steady.
All right, so you're saying if one of these is shaky, the whole house crumbles?
Exactly. Each pillar does its part. General management is all about vision, culture, and strategy, guiding the ship. Sales is less about hard closing and more about problem solving and creating trust. Operations, that's the engine room. Execution, schedules, quality. And resource management, that's people, tools, and materials, the stuff that keeps the engine running smoothly.
Makes sense. It's like a crew leader juggling schedules, tools, and making sure no one's slacking off on site. Without all that, clients aren't happy, and the boss is breathing down your neck.
Exactly, Jake. And since the sales pillar often gets misunderstood, let's zoom in on that today. People hear sales and they cringe, thinking pushy tactics, quotas, all that sleazy stuff. But real sales, it's about listening, building trust, solving actual problems, not chasing people down with dollar signs in your eyes.
Man, I've seen so many guys blow it with that old school approach. It's like they don't even try to understand what the client actually needs. Just last week, I worked with this guy. So we showed up to this property, and the homeowner looks stressed, like seriously overwhelmed. Turns out she wasn't even sure what she needed. Her yard was a mess, and she just knew she wanted it to look good. I started asking questions like, what bothers her the most? What kind of vibe does she want when she's out there? Turns out her kid has allergies, and they were struggling to find a solution. So we focused on low pollen plants and a layout that's easy to manage.
That's brilliant. You didn't just sell her a service, you solved her problem, and I bet she walked away feeling like you actually cared about her situation, right?
Totally. She was thrilled. Now she's already talking about having us come back for more projects down the line. It's like, once you prove you're trustworthy, you don't need to push, they come to you.
Exactly, Jake. It's trust over tactics. Focus on the client's pain points and solving the issue, not just closing the deal. And honestly, it's also about feeling good at the end of the day, knowing you really helped someone.
Yep, and the bonus? When you do it right, they refer you to their neighbors, and the cycle keeps going. No gimmicks needed.
You nailed it, Jake. Trust and problem solving are the heartbeat of a great business. Now let's take it a step further and talk about what makes a company not just good, but truly remarkable.
All right, Mike, let's hear it. What's the secret sauce?
It's habits, Jake. Strong, consistent habits. You build systems that people trust, and those systems create a company culture that keeps great clients coming back and great employees sticking around.
Okay, but when you're out in the field, systems sometimes feel like just a fancy word for micromanaging. How do you keep things dialed in without making people feel, trapped?
Good question. It's all about clarity and consistency. People thrive when they know what's expected of them, and when those expectations are fair, you give your team the tools and the freedom to succeed without hovering over their shoulder.
All right, so basically you make the job easier, not harder, by having systems that click. Makes sense.
Exactly. And it's not just about the team, it's about the clients too. Positive habits translate into better communication, smoother operations, and ultimately memorable client experiences. Does that mean every day runs perfectly? No. But when you've built a structure of good habits, the bad days don't derail the whole train.
Man, we had a day like that last summer. Everything that could go wrong did. Late deliveries, equipment failures, you name it. But my crew, they crushed it anyway. Why? Because they didn't stop to panic. They knew the routine. They adjusted on the fly, and everyone stepped up.
And that's the power of habits. When the routine becomes second nature, your team doesn't fall apart when times get tough. But, some of that also comes down to leadership. Speaking of which, let's talk about how leaders can build those habits in the first place.
I'm guessing this is the part where we get into that role play you mentioned earlier?
You got it. Let's imagine a scenario. It's mid-season. One of your crew members has been showing up late, cutting corners, and now they've got the rest of your team grumbling. How do you handle it?
All right, so step one. I'm not calling them out in front of everybody. Kind of feels like management 101, right?
Right. Public shaming doesn't build trust, but what's next?
Next, I pull them aside and just talk. I'd start something like, hey, I've noticed you've been coming in late and it's throwing off the whole morning setup. What's going on? Keep it direct, but not aggressive.
Good. Non-confrontational, but clear. Keep going.
Once they tell me what's up, whether it's personal stuff or just getting lazy, I'd reset expectations. Like, listen, we all have off days, but this is becoming a pattern. Here's what needs to change and why it matters for the team.
And that's key. You're addressing the behavior without attacking the person. But how do you reinforce that this change needs to stick?
Simple. Follow through. Let them know you'll check back in, see how they're doing, and remind them you're there to help if they need it. But also, you've got to show the team that accountability is non-negotiable. No favorites.
Jake, that's leadership in action. Fair, firm, and focused on improvement, both for the individual and the crew. This habit of addressing underperformance constructively, it's a game changer, not just for the team, but for the entire company culture.
And that culture, it's what keeps the good people on your team, makes clients happy, and turns a service company into, something remarkable.
Exactly, and that's how you grow, on habits, not hope. So if you're listening to this and thinking, do I really have the time to build habits like these? Let me tell you something, you can't afford not to.
Yeah, because when you don't, guess what? Chaos fills the gaps, and nobody has time for that.
That's right, so start small, pick one habit, one system, and commit to it, then build from there.
Like the gym. You don't start with 300 pounds on the bar, you start with the bar itself.
Perfect analogy, Jake. Consistency beats intensity every time.
All right, Mike, so what's our big takeaway for today?
Simple. Remarkable service companies aren't built by chance. They're built on systems, habits, and leaders who care enough to get it right. And that applies to everyone, whether you're running crews or running the whole show.
I like it. Systems over chaos, habits over hope. And with that, my friend, I think we've wrapped this up right.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that's all for this episode of Service Mastery. Think of this episode as your introduction chapter. From here, you choose your path. Start with general management. the section that covers vision, strategy, financials, and culture building. Need to boost revenue and build real client trust? Head over to sales, where we'll show you how to sell like a pro without sounding like a car salesman. Trying to tighten up job execution, scheduling, and daily operations? Jump into operations, where chaos turns into rhythm. Or maybe you're managing people, subs, gear, or facilities? Then start with resource management and learn how to make your tools and team work smarter.
Each section is a full module, a full experience. You can listen straight through or skip to what matters most right now. However you use it, remember this. This isn't about information. It's about transformation, and it starts now.
Welcome to Modern Service Mastery, Business School with Boots On. Let's get to work.
Thanks for listening to Modern Service Mastery, Business School with Boots On. If this episode helped you lead, grow, or think differently, share it with your crew, and keep the momentum going.